It started like any other quiet afternoon in the neighborhood. Kids riding bikes, birds chirping, and neighbors chatting on their porches. But in just minutes, everything changed. A group of officers responded to a call about a suspicious animal near a local park. By the time they arrived, the only one there was 14-year-old Amara and her friendly black Labrador, Marley. What happened next would leave the entire block stunned. In a moment of confusion and panic, the officers made a decision that would tear Amara's heart apart. Marley was gone, as the sirens faded, and the crowd slowly gathered. Amara stood frozen in disbelief, her eyes filled with shock and heartbreak. Her dog wasn't just a pet, he was her best friend, her comfort through late-night anxiety, and the only thing that made the move to this new city bearable. The officers tried to explain, but their words barely registered. One bystander caught the entire scene on video, and it was already spreading online, with trembling fingers and tears streaming down her cheeks. Amara pulled out her phone and made one call, not to the police department, not to the news, but to her father. Because Amara's father isn't just any dad, he's the mayor of the city, and what he does next could change everything. But the question is, will justice come, or will the system protect its own? What happens after that call will leave everyone talking and waiting for answers. The phone barely rang once before. A deep voice answered. Amara, what's wrong? Her father, Mayor Langston, had always made time for his daughter, no matter how packed his schedule was. But he had never heard her like this, gasping, crying, unable to form words. Finally, she choked out, "They shot Marley. Right in front of me." Silence. Then a calm but serious reply. "Where are you?" As his security details scrambled to change course, Mayor Langston's expression hardened. He wasn't just a public official now, he was a father whose daughter had just witnessed something no child ever should, and the officers involved, they were from his own city department. Meanwhile, across the park, neighbors were still shaken. Some pulled out their phones to replay the footage they had captured, others whispered to each other wondering how this could happen in broad daylight to a young girl, and to a dog that had never shown aggression. The officers had already left the scene, citing protocol, but something didn't sit right. Witnesses claimed Marley hadn't charged, hadn't barked, he was just walking beside Amara when they pulled up. The story didn't match what the police report would later say. As the mayor's car pulled up to the yellow-taped curb, cameras began flashing, and questions swirled. But the biggest one remained unanswered. Was this just a tragic mistake? Or was something deeper at play within the city's law enforcement? The truth was just starting to surface. Mayor Langston stepped out of the car, his polished shoes crunching against the gravel where Amara had stood just an hour earlier. The street was still buzzing. Reporters were arriving, residents were filming from their porches, and the air felt heavy, not just with grief, but with something else. Doubt, distrust. As he hugged Amara, trembling in his arms, he looked past her at the chalk mark where Marley had fallen. It wasn't just a tragic scene, it was political, emotional, and deeply personal now. Back at City Hall, word spread fast. Some of the mayor's advisors urged him to stay quiet, let the investigation take its course. But others knew the truth. The footage was already going viral. Hashtags like #JusticeForMarley and #Emirata Surveinsers were flooding social media. People weren't just angry, they were watching, waiting. Inside the police department, tension was just as thick. The officers involved were placed on desk duty, but whispers ran through the halls. One of them, Officer Mills, had a record past complaints, mostly dismissed. But in private, a few junior officers admitted they'd seen him lose his temper before, especially in certain neighborhoods. Still, no one ever said anything out loud, until now. Meanwhile, Amara sat at home in silence. She hadn't eaten, barely spoken. Her phone kept buzzing with messages from classmates and strangers, some kind, some cruel. But one message stood out, an anonymous tip that simply read, "This wasn't an accident. Check the body cam footage. It's not all there. Mayor." Langston couldn't shake the message Amara had shown him. "This wasn't an accident. Check the body cam footage." He'd already requested the tapes, but when the files came in, something felt off. The footage from Officer Mills' camera cut out seconds before the shot was fired. No audio, no explanation, just static. The other two officers' cameras showed the moment Marley fell, but not the lead-up, and none showed a threat, just a calm dog, wagging his tail beside a tearful girl. In private, the mayor confronted the police chief. "Why is there missing footage?" The chief hesitated, then gave a rehearsed line. "Technical glitch. These things happen." But Langston knew better. This wasn't a glitch, it was a cover-up. And the deeper he looked, the more inconsistencies he found. Reports rewritten, statements that didn't match witness videos. Officers refusing follow-up interviews. While the mayor pushed from inside the system, the city outside was waking up. Protests were forming, not chaotic, but loud, focused, organized. People chanted Amara's name, held up photos of Marley, and demanded transparency. The media camped outside the station, demanding answers. And still, Amara said nothing publicly. But behind closed doors, she was working with her aunt, a civil rights attorney, to gather every bit of evidence. Phone recordings, security cam clips from nearby homes, and most importantly, a leaked internal email from a whistleblower inside the department. It hinted that Mills' body cam wasn't just missing. It may have been wiped intentionally. And now, they had proof. Almost late that night, just as the mayor was preparing to release a statement to the public, a confidential folder was slid under his office door. No note, no sender. Inside were 3 unmarked USB drives and a printed message. Asterisk watched the third one last. Heart pounding, he locked the door, dimmed the lights, and loaded the first file. It showed unreleased security camera footage from a traffic light facing the park. Clear, wide angle, it showed the officers arriving, stepping out, and speaking. To Amara, Marley wagged his tail, sniffed the grass. No signs of aggression. The second video was more disturbing. It was a cell phone recording, likely taken by a resident from behind a fence. This angle caught something the body cams didn't. Officer Mills motioning to the others, saying something inaudible, then putting his hand on his holster before anything happened. Then came the shot, the gasp. Amara's scream. He paused before playing the final clip. This one, labeled Internal Briefing Private, looked like a screen-recorded Zoom call. Officer Mills sat at the edge of the frame, tense. A voice, possibly a superior, said, "We can't let this go public. That dog was in the way, and if it looks bad, we adjust the files." Understood. Mills hesitated, then nodded. The mayor sat back, stunned. Not only had they deleted footage, they were covering up a command decision. But who gave the order, and why target Amara's dog in the first place? Then his phone buzzed. A reporter had just uncovered something explosive about Mills' past. And it wasn't just about dogs. Mayor Langston barely had time to process the last video when the reporter's message came through. Attached was a document, sealed disciplinary records from another city. Before joining this department, Officer Mills had been involved in 2 other incidents involving excessive force, one of which included the shooting of a service dog during a traffic stop. The reports were buried after an internal settlement. Somehow, Mills had been quietly transferred, his record scrubbed clean, until now. The mayor knew this couldn't stay hidden any longer. That morning, he called a press conference outside City Hall. The crowd was massive. Protesters, media, local leaders, all waiting for answers. He stepped up to the mic, took a deep breath, and laid it all out. The missing footage, the doctored reports, the order caught on tape, and most of all, the truth about Mills' past. Gasps filled the square as he played the internal video clip, confirming what many feared. This wasn't a split-second mistake. It was a deliberate act, buried by layers of silence. The city erupted in emotion, some cheering for justice, others furious that it took this long. Within hours, Officer Mills was taken into custody. The police chief resigned. A federal investigation was launched. Amara and her aunt filed a civil suit that would set new standards for body cam transparency and accountability. But just when it felt like closure, another twist surfaced: an anonymous email to the mayor. Mills wasn't acting alone. Goes higher. Look into the mayor's security chief. He was on that same Zoom call. Mayor Langston stared at the new email, stunned. His own security chief, someone he'd trusted for years, might have been part of the cover-up. Quietly, he handed the message to a federal investigator already on site. They moved fast. Within days, records showed the security chief had once served on the same task force as Mills. Surveillance logs confirmed he had accessed sensitive files, just hours before the footage was lost. It was the missing piece. The web of silence had gone deeper than anyone imagined. That as arrests were made and resignations followed. Amara watched the news with quiet strength. Her aunt sat beside her, hand in hers. They had not only exposed the truth, but helped spark change far beyond their city. New policies on police transparency,